The end has begun. The world waits in silence as shadows fall over Jerusalem. Whispers of betrayal move through the night like a storm ready to break. And in the middle of it all, one man kneels alone, carrying the weight of all humanity on his shoulders. His time has come, and the final days are here. The night is heavy, thicker than it has ever been before. The streets of Jerusalem are restless, filled with unease, as though the very stones know what is about to take place. Roman soldiers patrol with torches burning bright against the darkness, their armor echoing in the stillness. In the distance, the temple towers over the city, its walls lit by moonlight. But even here, the presence of peace feels absent. Every sound feels louder. Every shadow feels longer. Something is coming. We see the faces of people in the marketplace, traders and wanderers, each carrying their own fear. Some speak in hushed tones about the man they call teacher, the one who heals the sick, raises the dead, and preaches with authority unlike any other. Others glare with suspicion and anger, convinced that he has brought danger upon their nation. The city is divided, and the tension rises with every passing moment. The scene shifts to a quiet garden just outside the city. Trees sway in the night wind, and the sound of rustling leaves fills the silence. There, away from the crowd, Jesus kneels on the ground. His robe is torn by the dust, his face lowered, and his voice almost a whisper as he prays. The weight of the world is pressing down upon him. He looks up at the dark sky, and his words tremble with sorrow. "Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Yet not my will, but yours be done." Sweat falls from his brow, glistening in the moonlight. But this is no ordinary sweat. It runs thick, stained with drops of blood, a sign of the burden crushing his spirit. In that moment, the world grows quieter, as if heaven and earth are watching together. The night is no longer just another night. It is the beginning of the end. The disciples sit not far from him, weary and confused. They cannot understand the storm that is about to rise. Their eyes grow heavy with sleep. But Jesus, alone in his agony, stays awake. He knows what lies ahead. The betrayal, the trial, the cross, all of it has been leading here. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps breaks through the stillness. Shadows move at the edge of the garden, carrying the glow of torches and the clatter of swords. The moment has come. What was once whispered is now unfolding. The prophecy is stepping into reality. The music rises, heavy with tension, echoing the heartbeat of the world. This is the start of the final journey, the road that leads to Calvary. And with each step, the story moves closer to the moment that will change history forever. The night no longer feels still. It breathes with a strange energy, like the calm that hangs before a storm. In the city, plans are being woven in secret rooms lit by flickering oil lamps. The high priests and elders gather in tight circles, their voices low but sharp with anger. They speak of power, of law, of the danger one man has brought to their authority. They see him not as the Messiah, but as a threat. Every word they speak pushes them closer to a single decision. This man must die. In another corner of the city, Judas walks alone. His steps are heavy, his eyes restless, his hands clenched as if even his body fights against the choice he has made. Silver coins weigh in his pocket, cold and unforgiving. He looks over his shoulder at every turn, guilt and fear chasing him like shadows. Once he called Jesus his master. Once he sat among the chosen, but now he carries the burden of betrayal. And yet he cannot turn back. The camera shifts to the disciples gathered together. They whisper in confusion, unsure of what is happening around them. The teacher has spoken of his death, of being handed over, of a cross that waits for him, but they do not want to believe. How could the one who calmed storms and raised the dead speak of such an end? Their hearts cling to hope, but doubt grows stronger in the silence of the night. Then, the garden again. Jesus rises from prayer, his face marked by sorrow but also by strength. His words are quiet but filled with certainty as he looks at those who still struggle to understand. The time has come. My betrayer is near. The scene darkens and the sound of distant marching grows louder. Roman boots strike the ground in steady rhythm, torches cutting through the shadows. The soldiers are not alone. With them walks Judas, his face pale but determined. The air trembles with the weight of prophecy. Heaven knows what is about to unfold. Suddenly, a burst of sound, metal clashing, voices shouting, footsteps rushing. The disciples spring to their feet, their confusion turning into panic. Peter's hand grips a sword, his heart beating like thunder in his chest. But Jesus, calm even in the face of betrayal, steps forward. The night is split between loyalty and betrayal, between fear and faith. And as Judas draws closer, the kiss that will change everything is only a breath away. The garden is alive with shadows. Torches flicker against the twisted branches of olive trees, their light throwing broken shapes across the ground. The air trembles with the sound of marching feet and clinking steel. What was moments ago a quiet place of prayer has become a stage for the act that will seal the fate of the Son of Man. Judas steps forward, his face caught between fear and resolve. His breath is quick, his eyes dart from side to side, but his path is set. Behind him, soldiers carry chains and weapons, their movements strong, precise, relentless. The weight of power seems to walk with them. Yet the weight of guilt rests on Judas alone. He knows this kiss will echo for centuries. He knows this moment cannot be undone. The disciples awaken fully to the chaos. Some shrink back, their hearts trembling with confusion, while others rise to defend their teacher. Peter grips his sword with shaking hands, his spirit ready to fight, though his courage wavers. A storm of voices fills the air, cries of command from soldiers, cries of warning from friends, and through it all, Jesus remains still. His eyes fix on Judas, not with hatred, not with fear, but with sorrow deeper than words. Judas moves closer, each step louder than the last. The silence between them feels endless. Then, in a single motion, he leans in and presses a kiss upon the cheek of his master. The act seems small, almost gentle, yet it carries the weight of betrayal that will shake heaven and earth. Jesus does not pull away. His voice is calm but heavy with grief. "Judas, do you betray the Son of Man with a kiss?" The words hang in the night like a question that pierces the soul. Judas trembles, his heart breaking even as the soldiers step forward to seize their prisoner. The clash erupts in an instant. Peter draws his blade and strikes, his anger spilling into the night. A soldier cries out, his ear cut by the steel. Chaos swirls, shouts echo, weapons rise. Yet in the middle of it all, Jesus lifts his hand. His voice cuts through the storm like light breaking the clouds. No more of this. And with a single touch, he heals the wounded soldier, the one sent to arrest him. For a moment, silence returns. The disciples freeze, the soldiers stare, even Judas looks on in disbelief. Mercy even here, love even now. But the chains are fastened, the path is fixed, and the Son of Man is led away into the darkness. The camera lingers on the torches retreating into the night. The garden left behind in stillness once more. The disciples scatter, their fear stronger than their faith. The kiss of betrayal has begun the journey that will end on a cross. The night breaks into morning, but the light does not bring peace. Instead, it reveals the darkest corners of human judgment. Jesus is dragged through narrow streets, his hands bound, his face marked with dust and sweat. The crowd that once shouted Hosanna now watches in silence, divided between pity, confusion, and contempt. The teacher who healed the blind and fed the hungry now stands as a prisoner, led to those who longed for his downfall. Inside the chamber of Caiaphas, the high priest, the air is thick with accusation. Torches smoke against the walls, the room buzzing with restless voices. False witnesses step forward, twisting words, bending truth, each testimony sharper than the last. They do not seek justice, they seek death. Jesus remains silent, his eyes steady, his lips unbroken. The silence frustrates his accusers more than any defense could. They want rage, they want fear, but they are met with calm. Caiaphas rises, his voice striking the room like thunder. "Tell us, are you the Messiah, the Son of the Blessed?" The silence lingers before Jesus speaks, his words soft yet unshakable. "I am. And you will see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of power." coming with the clouds of heaven. The chamber erupts in outrage. Caiaphas tears his garments, calling his words blasphemy. The crowd roars for judgment. They strike him across the face, spit upon him, blindfold him, and mock him with cruel laughter. "Prophesy to us, Messiah, who struck you?" Their mockery rings louder than their blows, but none of it breaks him. At dawn, he is taken to the Roman governor, Pilate. The governor's hall is lined with soldiers, their eyes cold, their movements precise. Pilate studies the prisoner with curiosity more than hatred. He questions him, searching for guilt, but finds none. The man before him speaks of a kingdom not of this world, of truth that stands even before earthly power. Pilate wavers, his voice uncertain as he addresses the crowd. "I find no fault in him." But the people's cry drowns him out. Their voices rise, unified in fury, filling the air with a chant that grows louder with every breath. "Crucify him! Crucify him!" Pilate's hands tremble as he calls for water. Before the people, he washes his hands, declaring himself innocent of this man's blood. Yet his hands, though clean of water, remain stained by surrender. The soldiers take Jesus aside. They clothe him in a scarlet robe, press a crown of thorns onto his head, and place a reed in his hand like a scepter. Their laughter is cruel, their jeers sharp. "Hail, King of the Jews!" Each word drips with mockery as they strike him again and again. The robe, the crown, the scepter, mock symbols of kingship twisted into instruments of humiliation. And yet, in every blow, in every insult, there is a strange irony. For the man they mock as king is truly a king. The one they dress in scorn wears the true crown of eternity. The judgment of men may condemn him, but the judgment of heaven still waits. The road to Golgotha begins with silence, broken only by the sound of chains and the shuffle of weary feet. The weight of the cross rests upon his shoulders, pressing into torn flesh already bruised by whips. Each step feels heavier than the last. Yet he does not collapse without rising again. Around him, soldiers bark orders, their spears glinting in the sun, their voices sharp and unrelenting. The crowd follows, some wailing in sorrow, others shouting in scorn. The teacher, once welcomed with palm branches, now carries wood meant for his death. Among the crowd, Mary watches with eyes that have already wept beyond measure. Every stumble of her son pierces her heart like a blade. Beside her, John stands, his face pale, torn between helplessness and grief. The women who once followed Jesus in hope now follow him in mourning. Their cries echo through the narrow streets, a chorus of broken hearts chasing the condemned. The soldiers, impatient with his weakness, seize a man from the crowd, Simon of Cyrene. They press the cross upon him, forcing him to carry the burden beside the weary prisoner. Yet even as Simon strains beneath the weight, the true burden remains unseen, carried in the soul of the man they call Jesus. He does not fight against it. He embraces it, step by step, as though each moment is chosen. Finally, the hill comes into view, a barren place, its name meaning skull. Golgotha. Here, death has claimed countless lives, but today it will witness something unlike any other. The soldiers move with practiced cruelty. They strip him of his garments, leaving him exposed to shame. They lay him upon the wood. Nails are brought forth, long and cold, gleaming in the harsh sunlight. The sound of the hammer rises, each strike splitting the silence, each echo felt in the hearts of all who hear it. Hands pierced, feet fastened. The cross is lifted high. Against the sky it stands, a silhouette of suffering. The wind grows heavy. The clouds begin to gather, and the crowd looks on with divided hearts. Some mock, their laughter harsh. Others weep, their cries breaking through the noise. The soldiers cast lots for his clothing, their greed small and cruel in the shadow of eternity. Above him, a sign is placed, Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews. Written in 3 languages, it declares the truth even in mockery. The priests protest, demanding it be changed, but Pilate refuses. "What I have written, I have written." In the irony of human pride, the title remains, a proclamation of kingship nailed upon the cross. From the cross, he speaks not with anger, but with mercy. "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." His voice, though faint, carries with a power that silences hearts. Even in agony, his words pour out love. Two criminals hang beside him, one jeering, the other pleading. To the one who believes, he offers hope. "Today you will be with me in paradise." Hours pass. The sky darkens as though creation itself cannot bear to watch. The earth trembles, the sun hides its face, and the weight of sin presses upon the Lamb of God. His body weakens, his breath grows shallow, yet his spirit endures. He lifts his head, his voice breaking through the storm. It is finished. With that final cry, he gives up his spirit, and the world itself shakes at the surrender. The veil of the temple tears in two. Rocks split, graves open, soldiers fall to the ground in awe. One centurion, hardened by countless deaths, looks upon the lifeless body on the cross and whispers words that history will never forget. Truly, this was the Son of God. The hill has grown silent. The cries of the crowd have faded. The soldiers have left, and the cross now stands against a sky heavy with mourning. The body of Jesus hangs motionless, his head bowed, his breath gone. The earth itself feels broken, cracked by the quake that followed his last cry. For those who loved him, the world has ended. For those who hated him, victory feels hollow. Yet in the silence, something unseen stirs. Mary remains near, her tears unceasing, her hands trembling as she reaches for the lifeless feet of her son. John holds her, his own face shadowed with grief. But even as sorrow crushes them, there is something unspoken in their eyes, a question, a hope they do not dare to speak aloud. Could this truly be the end? The body is lowered from the cross, wrapped in linen, and placed in a tomb carved out of stone. A heavy rock seals the entrance, guarded by soldiers who believe they are ending a movement forever. To them it is finished. To the disciples, it feels like all promises have shattered. They scatter in fear, hearts heavy with doubt. The words he spoke of rising again seem distant, almost impossible to grasp in the weight of death. But heaven does not share their despair. Creation holds its breath. The silence of the tomb is not the silence of defeat, but the stillness before the dawn. Beneath the stone, beyond the eyes of men, a spark of power begins to stir. The same power that formed the stars now moves within the darkness of death. The grave, thought to be final, begins to tremble. Then, the first light of a new day breaks across the horizon. Morning touches the stone, and the impossible becomes reality. A sudden quake shakes the earth, and the stone that sealed the tomb begins to roll away. Not by human strength, not by force of arms, but by the hand of heaven itself. The soldiers guarding it fall to the ground in terror, their weapons useless, their courage gone. Inside, the tomb stands empty. The linen that once wrapped his body lies folded in place, a quiet sign that death has been defeated. The silence is no longer heavy with despair. It is filled with awe. The one who was crucified has risen. The one who was condemned has overcome. The final word is not death. The final word is life. The women arrive at dawn, their hands carrying spices, their hearts weighed with grief. But when they see the stone rolled away, when they see the tomb empty, fear and wonder crash together within them. And then, a voice unlike any other breaks the silence. "Why do you look for the living among the dead? He is not here. He is risen." Hope floods the air, brighter than the sunrise, stronger than the grave. What seemed like the end has become the greatest beginning. The cross was not defeat. The tomb was not final. The story of sorrow becomes the story of salvation, and the glimmer of hope becomes the light of eternity. The dawn of resurrection still lingers, but the story does not end at the empty tomb. It begins there. From Jerusalem to the farthest corners of the earth, whispers turn into declarations. He is risen. The disciples, once scattered in fear, begin to gather again. Their sorrow is broken by awe, their doubt replaced by faith. They see him alive. They hear his voice. They touch his wounds, and they know the grave has no power over him. The camera sweeps across the city that once condemned him. The same streets that echoed with cries of "Crucify" now tremble with a new sound. The quiet courage of those who will carry his message. Mary Magdalene runs with tears of joy, proclaiming what no one could have believed. The disciples speak in hushed tones, their hearts burning with the truth. Every word of his promise has come alive before their eyes. But the world is not silent. The same powers that sought to silence him now turn their eyes upon his followers. The shadow of persecution rises even as the light of resurrection shines brighter. Yet this time, they do not scatter. This time they stand. For they know that what began in death now reigns in life eternal. Jesus appears to them in moments both simple and sacred. By the sea, where fish cook over a fire. In a locked room, where fear had chained their hearts. On a mountain, where he gives a command that will echo forever. Go into all the world, make disciples of all nations, teach them, baptize them, and remember this: I am with you always, even to the end of the age. The music swells as his words hang in the air, not as farewell but as a promise. The story of the cross does not close with silence. The story of the tomb does not end with emptiness. It moves forward, written into the lives of those who believe, carried across generations, stronger than empires, greater than kingdoms. The final image fades to the empty cross, no longer a symbol of death, but of victory. The stone rolled away stands as a doorway to eternity. The voice of the narrator rises one last time, steady, filled with awe. The end was only the beginning. The screen darkens. Then, in bold letters, the words appear, The Chosen. Season 6. The Final Days. The Eternal Story. Coming 2026. The music crescendos into light, a triumphant blend of sorrow and hope before cutting into silence. The trailer ends. The story lives on.